Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Imperfect Marketing. I'm your host, Kendra Corman, and today I am really excited because Erin Marcus of erinmarcus.com and Conquer Your Business is joining us today. Erin helps entrepreneurs and small business owners get the financial and emotional freedom they need to build a business and a life they're proud of by learning how to be in charge, take action, and get results. She's been mentoring, training, teaching, coaching for more than 20 years. And she loves helping people take action they didn't think possible, do things they didn't think they could do, and succeed beyond what they dared to dream. That is just such an amazing bio. So thank you so much for joining me.
I sound so fancy when you put it like that.
I know, right? It's like people are like, wow, she sounds impressive. Oh, wait, that's me. Okay. Yeah. No,
I always tell people I will be on stage in front of 1,000 people and have the time of my life. Please do not make me listen to the introduction.
Exactly.
So right?
I know, right? Well, and I hate it when people are like, send me your bio. So I send them my bio and then they start to read the whole thing. And I was like, you didn't say send you a brief bio.
Right. There's a lot. What are we doing with this?
So Erin, all right, you've made a big change recently. So we are recording this, just so you guys know, back in September, even though it's airing in November. And Erin made a change going to erinmarcus.com, still having Conquer Your Business. Talk to me about the change that you're going through and have been going through for a while now.
It's really been an evolution. Like, it started out as erinmarcus.com because I didn't know what I was doing and it was my name, so that was easy. And Conquer Business is 5 years old and I've absolutely loved it. And it was really interesting. I'll tell you, let's start since, we're talking about imperfect marketing. We can just broaden that to imperfect business decisions, right? And the process is imperfect. I mean, I think the more you embrace it, the better. But one of the things I found myself through in reflection, not at the time, it would have been so much easier if I caught it at the time, but no, can't have that. Through a reflection process that started for me, it's so funny that this is launching that this will air in November, because it was literally last November when the hit the fan for me in a variety of ways. And through what became like a 6-month, put the brakes on, stop the presses, deep dive in a self-reflection, I realized that one of my patterns that had to go was really this I have a lot of drive, and I have a lot of drive to be successful, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I found myself repeatedly in this scenario where I was trying to achieve somebody else's version of success, right? Somebody else's definition. I'm not a big people pleaser. I don't care if the masses like me or don't like me. I'm not. But what I do have is, because I have a host of other problems, right? I don't have that one.
We all do.
Right, exactly. If you don't get this one, you get
your
that
problem.
Right? It's a plethora. It's so many to choose from. But what I found with me through this self-reflection process was, if I find somebody who I admire, who I think has achieved a lot, who I deem worthy, for lack of a better phrase, I strive for their approval, which often means trying to achieve what they define as successful. And right? Like, I don't even know if that makes sense. And it's not their fault, by the way. They didn't ask for me to do this, right? None of them are wrong or bad. That they didn't do this to me. I did this to me. And through what happened last year and a variety of things, because there's always a catalyst that starts this, I finally got quiet enough in my head to decide, what do I want more of in my life? And I moved away from setting goals to setting intentions. What do I want more of in my life? And the two things that I came up with is freedom for me. One more freedom of more time. I don't want to work as hard, as long. Freedom of money. So I still want to make all the money, but not working as hard and as long. Freedom of location. I'm traveling back and forth because of my mom, because I want to, because of other things, like because I want to be in all these different places. I want more freedom. And then subsequently also, not contrarily, I want to have a bigger impact. I want to have a bigger impact. And business being what business is, and you have iterations, I had found my business moving away from, not that I wasn't having an impact, but I just wanted to have a bigger impact. I wanted to help more people. I wanted to get my message to more people. And so I really moved away from what I call heavy lift programs, what I'm calling heavy lift marketing strategies, and just into a different way of doing my business. And so there's a course that is launching as we are recording this. There is a community that will be launched by the time this is out in the world that I'm so excited about. The book is underway. So yeah, I'll still have the high level interpersonal one-on-one mentoring opportunities, but the way that I'm describing it to myself, because it makes sense in my head, is I'm moving away from business, like corporate, because I come out of corporate. So I built my business the same way I knew how to build a big company, and into a more creative life. And it's fun and terrifying and fun and terrifying.
Change is terrifying. Okay. So, all right. So you're pivoting your entire business, which I think that there's a lot of people listening, including myself, that, we've all pivoted before or done changes ourselves. And so we understand, yes, there's always something that ignites it. And yes, we have a tendency to compare ourselves to people and the success that they have in different spaces. And, thanks to social media, we get to see all these people having all this success who may or may not be having this success. And just might be showing it online. So I get all of that. Let's talk about, so I love how you're like, I'm going to be working less, but I've got a new course and a book and a new version of my business. So talk to me about how are you going to keep yourself out of those old bad habits?
You have so the universe abhors a gap. Just does, the universe does not like a vacuum. I'm filling it. I think one of the reasons, there's so many reasons people fill all their time. Number one, they think they're supposed to, right? I've just filling a lot of my time with the other things I want to be doing. And here's the one interesting, I think, important point about the pivot. Who I'm helping and what I'm doing for them hasn't really changed. What's changed is how it's being delivered and how I'm acquiring clients. So all the work in the last 5 years that I've built, this is Erin, this is what she knows how to do, that still stands, right? So I'm not doing such a left field jump that people are like, what are you doing now? It still makes sense, which makes this easier, by the way. It doesn't mean you can't do that, but it makes this pivot easier. But so the way that I started doing this, one of the mistakes, one of the things that I kept doing to myself is I would pack Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. till 5 p.m., meeting. And then every time I came up with a new idea or tried to do a new thing, I was fitting it in the cracks, or I was doing it at 6:30 in the morning. It's not a sustainable business model. And reading things like the quantum leap strategy, and hearing you have to be willing to let go of things in order to take a leap, even if those are some of the things you're best at. And the idea that a tightly packed entrepreneur can't make a leap. So I started out by, I'm not working Fridays. And I used to volunteer on Fridays. So that one was easy for me. I don't work on Fridays. Every now and then an appointment, but I don't work on Fridays. And then, okay, Monday's an office day. I just started moving my calendar in, literally, physically from the sides, right? So Monday, I have it's just internal, because I hated the feeling of rushing back into things on Monday. So I just don't work on Monday, and that solved that problem, right? I just do internal things on Monday. And then if I have something that fits in, okay, great, but I don't worry about it. And then I truncated my Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday to be 10 to 4. So it got shorter on both ends. And what that did, it doesn't mean that I'm not working, but I'm not having appointments, right? And I just kept moving my appointment availability in from all directions like a box.
Listening to this and thinks that they cannot do it because it doesn't fit their business, you're full of junk. That is called
Right.
head trash, and it is 100% in your head and entirely made up. I know, because like I would say 2 years ago, I would have been sitting there saying, I can't do that. I don't know how on earth I would do that. I do not take recurring meetings on Mondays or Fridays. I do not have meetings. I mean, I've got a networking meeting. I think I've got 2 meetings
Right.
that
You
happen
can
before
choose an
10 in
exception.
a month. Like, I make those
Right.
exceptions, and I've made those exceptions because like there's 15 to 40 other people in those meetings. So
Mhm.
I'm not moving them. They're not mine. But my meetings, I don't start till 10
I don't start.
because I like to get my stuff together. I don't take recurring meetings on Mondays or Fridays. If I need to move a meeting onto a Friday, I will. Like, that's my choice. For a Monday, I will. I do my podcast recordings one Monday a month. They used to be everywhere.
Right. They used
Talk
to
about changing gears.
They used to be all over the place. I don't take I don't accept hour-long meetings with people I don't know.
Yep.
There's nothing, we can book more time. Why are we, right? Because work grows to fill the time allotted every time. So it's never more hours, it's always more focus. And so the other thing that I do that works so well for me is I love people. I love talking to people. I love meeting people. So my energy will always come up, will rise to the occasion for me. However, my creativity, now that I'm old, because this never would have been the case when I was younger, is in the morning. So what I find for me is I work best diving into whatever creative work, not even having gotten ready for the day, still in my sweats, whatever. I do my morning routine with my journaling and my reflection, and then I move to some kind of creative work, my writing, my content creation around 7:30 or so. And then I take a shower after lunch and get ready for appointments then. And I meet with people, between like 1 and 4. And I get so much more done because I'm working the way my natural ability ebbs and flows, because I'll always be excited to talk to somebody. That's easy.
So how did you find that you were more creative in the mornings?
I just because nobody was more shocked than me that was like, I can't even tell you. The biggest shock to me was the fact that I'm a morning person now. Like, this is, my mother will tell you, she's like, what? It just happened. It just happened because there would be a day that I coincidentally didn't have appointments in the morning. And there's some people who need to get themselves all dressed and ready for the day in order to function. I'm the opposite. The longer I can stay unready, the more things that'll get done. It's just, I'm very chill and casual. I like my, as my one girlfriend calls them, I like my soft clothes, right? I like soft clothes. So as the longer I stay in soft clothes, the more will actually happen. And luckily for me, I'm not too embarrassed to walk the dog in the neighborhood in the soft clothes. Like, I don't care. So it would just happen where I'd be like, oh my gosh, I have this day, and whatever, something got canceled, something never got booked. And I realized I worked straight through from like 6:37 in the morning till 11 or 12. And it was wonderful. And I call it casual accomplishment days. I can just go with the ebb and flow, and I could take a break and go have lunch or walk the dog, or I got to water the things I transplanted. And then I get back to doing things. And it's like, it just has a no time limit feeling to it. And when I realized I enjoyed it, I started doing it on purpose.
Did you hear her say, well, after I checked my email, And then I would jump into email like 7 other times. No, she worked from, 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning until 11 or 12 and got these casual accomplishments done. Like
Yeah.
that's just so amazing. But the second you dive into your email, like you're done.
You're done. You turn into reaction mode. You are now on somebody else's timetable. Here's the other thing I did. I felt so guilty doing this. I felt so guilty doing this. It felt so bad. I unsubscribed from 95% of the lists I was on because and I felt guilty doing it because I have a list, right? I have an email list. So I felt bad for doing that. But I wasn't opening them anyway. I kept the ones I knew I read or the people I wanted to, make sure I'm keeping tabs on, But the feeling, and I understand it could have been mind over matter and I just couldn't figure it out. It doesn't matter. The feeling of opening an email inbox to 100 emails that showed up since the 8 minutes before, it would make me crazy. And the thing that I'm embracing with this whole creative lifestyle, because I never identified myself that way. And I have some friends who are highly, highly creative. And to me, they're like these magical people. There's such different energy. They're so amazing, so talented. And I just envision myself. The one that always comes to mind is my friend Katrina. She's a mosaic tile artist. She's magic. Katrina's magic. She knows I call her that. She's just she's having a different experience than the rest of us. It just is what it is. And so I think of myself as tapping into my inner Katrina. And I also have kind of embraced this idea. Again, it was so much mindset work. It was so, and it's continuing. It's probably 2 hours a day at least of mindset work, because that's what I do when I make lunch and then I sit down and watch something. And it's very intentional. I haven't turned the TV on since last March. I've not turned the television on since last March. But now I just keep wondering, is this who I am? Is this who I am before I turned into the person I had to be to survive the things that we all have to survive, right? And to me, going back to my personal intention of freedom, why did I quit corporate? Why did I quit the fancy travel around the world, 6-figure income with the expense account, like C-suite in financial services job, right? It wasn't to be miserable. I'll tell you that much, because I had a great job with great people. And it was for the freedom. It was for the freedom. And so freedom is the intention. And it's one of the things I just have to go back to over and over and over again as I make decisions. Everything with me is like, I make very, very instinctual, very, very fast decisions, but there is a framework. There's really in the back of my mind is a framework, and it just happens that fast. The question is this going to bring me more freedom or less freedom? Period, hard stop. One question. Is doing this going to bring me more freedom or less freedom? Is doing this going to have a bigger impact or less impact? And then if things get easier, decisions get easier. When you don't know what you want, when you don't know what you're trying to create, that's when you become susceptible to other people's definitions, to rabbit holes that we all fall down, right? But if you could have these litmus tests, this black or white, I use the word litmus test a lot, and then I realize younger generation, they don't use, evidently it's kind of like mercury and things we were allowed to play with when we were little, than like the younger
tests. Those were fun. No, like I still remember doing those in science class. All right, so if you do not know what a litmus test is and have never experienced one, you are too young for this podcast, and you can send me an email and I will send you a translation later.
Send you a chat GPT it. It'll explain it. It's, again, we were given bottles of acid and allowed to dunk pieces of paper in it to see if it turned pink or blue.
Ew, that people had no idea what that was.
I have to tell you this because it was so funny, because the girl who I had this event and she finally went, Erin, what is a litmus test? And I was so dumbfounded that I felt like in my response to her, I might have embarrassed her or made her feel bad. Like, how do you not know this? Except to make it fair, I broke a cable that we were using during that event, and the guy who was helping me said it was an HDMI cable. And I'm like, that's okay, I'll pick one up on the way in tomorrow. What is it? He says it's an HDMI cable. I'm like, yeah, but what is it? He's like, Erin, there's no other words. Like, I'm not trying to be a jerk.
People walk to the outside, tell them that's what you need, that's what they'll give you.
No other way to say that. It is what the definition of the thing is the thing, right? We all have it. Yeah. It's intentional. I think that's the bottom line. Is the two things that really come up for me is it has to be intentional. You will not create the life you want on accident. It has to be on purpose. It cannot be passive. And you also can't think your way there. Nothing happens if you're sitting around thinking. My favorite example of that is if you watch American Ninja Warrior, and they get, if you watch them, they really are visualizing the course. I'm going to put my hands here. I'm going to jump here. I'm going to do this. But nothing happens till the buzzer goes off and they start moving. And then they do it and then they fall. And then the next year they get better at it and they get better at it and they get better at it. And I think that's business. And I think that's mindset work. And I think that's in the intention and the action, the intention and the action. You can't think your way to any of this. You just have to do it and hold to it, and do it and hold to it. Keep practicing.
One of those people. The mindset was like, it is not. It is not. If you are an entrepreneur, solopreneur, coach, a consultant, whatever it is, if you're a CEO, if you're if you're an analyst, it doesn't matter. That mindset work is so important because again, we're talking about our schedules, about how we were going like this, and I did that, and nobody quit. Like, none of my clients fired me because I did that, because I moved them around, because I did more time blocking and decided what was going to go where. Nobody left. Not one client said, I can't make that happen. And I didn't have to say, okay, then let's find you a replacement. Not one single person. That says a lot for how much head trash was around it. So looking into your mindset, adjusting your mindset is huge. I mean, I get to the office usually between 7 and 7:30 every day. I don't usually start working until 8. Again, I don't have my first meeting until 9. I fuddle around with things. I go through my mail. I clean up my desk.
Yeah, you get ready. You set your stage.
And again, I think that mindset piece is something that is so underappreciated, underrated to what you're doing, because you wouldn't be creating this more freedom.
It doesn't have to. You can go from it the woo-woo way, or you can just do neuroscience. That's fine. Or you can just, go for peak performance athletic approach. Like, there's no top athletes that don't visualize. There's no big CEO that doesn't believe in themselves to some extent. Like, you don't necessarily have to know what you're calling it, but what you think about, you create. And the way you think about things is very, very important. Because if it's the one thing we always said, even in the medical field, think of it as doctors. The difference between going to a bone and joint orthopedic surgeon versus a chiropractor, versus you're always going to get the result, the approach to care, based on the way that consultant, doctor, whatever, defines themselves. So if they define themselves as holistic, you'll get a holistic approach. If you define themselves as a surgeon, you'll get a surgical approach. It's no different. It just, that's the way our brains work. They need the parameters. They need bumpers in their gutters. They need the labels. They need the definitions in order to function faster and more efficiently, right? Your mind goes, oh, that's a chair. Well, you never saw that chair before, but you still know it's a chair because your brain has a label that that's a chair, right? Basically, if something looks generally like this and you're supposed to sit in it, oh, it's a chair. So the more you're in control of intentionally creating the labels your brain uses and the way it uses them, the more you get to create your world. We have gone on.
We have long conversations. I love the fact that I've finally been able to get you on the podcast because I just think that there's so much here, you know? And I think the evolution of your business and how you're doing it with mindset, how you're doing everything intentionally, how you know, cut in your schedule from the outsides. Like everybody can do that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? If you work corporate and they require certain 9 to 5s, things like that, I get that.
I will
You
tell
can
you,
still
I'm
do
not
this.
even then,
You can still do this. You don't have to take meetings.
Here's the trick to living your own life in corporate. Deliver results they can't say no to. You'd be surprised what you get to do. I lived it.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. So again, so much great stuff in here. I'm so happy to have you. And sharing this journey and this huge change. I think so many people, every person listening can learn so much from this. And I challenge everybody that's listening to take some steps. Pick something that out of this conversation that attracted you, that got you, oh, I wonder if I could do that. Make it happen. Pick one thing that either Erin or I have done and make a revolutionary change. I mean, it's not evolutionary, it's revolutionary change to the way you live your life. And it's unbelievable. I can't say enough about it. So this has been an awesome conversation, like I said. Before I let you go, though, I do need to ask you the question that I ask everybody. This show is called Imperfect Marketing because marketing is anything but a perfect science. What has been your biggest marketing lesson?
My biggest marketing lesson, let's add nuggets for people. This one, I did a whole training on this, so it's fresh in my mind, and it's just so true. Ask more questions. Ask more questions. And here's the question to ask. This is the question. When you are considering whether or not to say yes or no to, or especially if you're considering to say yes to investment of your energy, your time, your money, you're going to try something. Always ask, what else do I need in place in order for this to work? What else do I need to have in place in order for this to work? And the only times I have regretted the decisions I've made is when I didn't know to ask that and I didn't have what I needed to make the thing I was purchasing or investing in actually work. And so it's kind of the difference between buying a house that's move-in ready and buying a fixer-upper. There's no wrong decision. They're both perfectly fine. But you kind of want to know before you buy it which one you're buying. Am I buying a key, a turnkey situation where if I do this, you're going to help, the solution is all encompassing? Or am I saying yes to an investment that I need to go spend just as much in other places in order for it to work? So biggest marketing mistake repeatedly that I've made.
I really like that because I think it applies into so many different places. I had a client that I refused to run Google ads for them. Mm-hmm. So I was running some Google ads and I paid extra so that we had call recording set up on the phone number that we were sending people to. So we had this call recording going on. I was listening to them and it was a hang up and a hang up and a hang up and another hang up because they were going into this, sorry, nobody's available to answer your call right now. And I'm looking at the timestamps. It's 9, 10, 11, 1 o'clock. middle of the day.
Right.
It's not, it's not 6, 7 p.m. at night or anything like that. They
Yeah.
were open. And I told them, until you get a recurring, reliable person answering the phone, we can't
Won't
run
work.
Google Ads. It's not going to work.
Right.
Because I listened to 40 phone calls that your Google Ads delivered to you that ended up in hangups. Not one call that you got off of your Google Ads went through. What an unbelievable waste of their money, my time. I have other places to spend that time, right?
And it's so true. And I think that's a really good example of the fact that not every business problem requires a marketing tactic as a solution. I watch that over and over again. We're like, oh, we just need more leads. No, you have other things you have to shore up before leads are going to help or not help. Yeah.
What else needs to be done? And think through your customer journey. I like that.
Yeah.
It might not need a marketing solution.
It might not need it.
I'm a marketer. Yes, I like it when there's marketing solutions, but that's not the case, and that's okay.
You might just need to charge a little bit more to who you're already working with. That's why it's so important to know what you're trying to create.
Okay. This was a fantastic conversation. We will be directing you all to erinmarcus.com. Definitely check it out. See how she has evolved her business and conquer your business. We'll put links to all of that relevant information so you can connect with Erin in the show notes. So again, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope that you got a lot out of it, and I am dying to hear what you're going to implement. So go ahead and drop me an email at support@kendracorman.com. Let me know what you're going to implement, because I want to hear and cheer you along the way. Thanks so much, and have a great rest of your day.